Right, so 2 minutes past, so we're going to get started. So, as I said, happy National Apprenticeship Week again, and welcome to our 5th webinar of the series. We're hosting a total of 6 webinars. If you have missed any of the webinars, at the end of the presentation, sorry, at the end of the webinar, I will be sharing the link for you to go back and look at any of the old videos. And if you haven't already registered, we have a fabulous webinar tomorrow. Our designated head of safeguarding is hosting and launching our new safeguarding support officer, which we're really excited about. So get yourself booked on that and then find out more about that apprenticeship. So let's start. So LMP, we're kind of, so who are we? We're LMP Education. We're part of 3, we've got 3 different groups within our organisation. We have LMP Education, who do the apprenticeship side of things. We have our Inspire ATA, who are a flexi-job apprenticeship agency. So if you do have any of those short-term job positions that you're trying to fill, whether that be facilities maintenance, whether that be chefing, whether that be digital marketing, we can facilitate that on our flexi-job apprenticeship agency, which is effectively where you host the apprentice from us. We do all the admin, we do all the HR, and you simply host them from us, and they work for you. LMP Action is our community interest group. So we have 4 core values that we're very passionate and proud about. First value is have compassion, assure quality, be inspiring, and take action. And we provide opportunities for social change across the UK, and we focus on the education and social impact of that. So, as I said, main apprentice is the apprenticeships, then it's we've got the Inspire ATA and Flexi Job, and then we've got AEB funded programs, which is a great arm of our organisation where we can do short courses for employed and unemployed. So we can do those short courses for people in nurseries, understanding autism, early years neurodiversity, nutrition, and that fits nicely within your already qualified staff or unqualified staff. They can complement their knowledge, and also it's an opportunity to offer it to parents as well. So if you live in certain areas, we can offer it to parents. So if that child has kind of like autism, and you're kind of helping at the nursery setting, we can kind of put the parents on understanding autism level 2 and level 3, so they can kind of complement what you're doing within the nursery at home and kind of reinforce and support those children. So that's very exciting. So if you want to find out more about that, if you look at our website, we have got we will share the details, but we have got a short course website where you can go and apply and register on those courses or share them with your parents. So driving impact through apprenticeships, just a little map to show. First of all, to say we were voted, and we're very proud about this, we were the best training provider 2024-2025. And this is voted for by apprentices themselves. This is not employers, this is apprentices themselves rating us the best training provider in the UK for 2024-2025. So we were immensely proud with that. And the map kind of shows our span. So we do right from north, right down to south, east and over to west. So we cover the whole of England. So that's everything about us. So what I'm going to do is, before we move on to sharing our and our partners' insights, we wanted to reflect on some of the main issues we believe nurseries are able to solve through effective apprenticeship strategy. This is a little bit about funding and how funding works. I'm not going to go through all this in detail because you will know how it works, but there's apprenticeship levy. So if you're large enough, you're paying to the levy, and the training is paid for from that levy. If you're not a large enough organisation, the government's funding 95%. and then the employer funds the 5% co-investment. However, what we are working on at LMP is a levy donation strategy. So if you are that small to medium organisation and you know that 5% can be quite challenging with the financial constraints within the sector at the moment, then if you come to us, we can look at getting you levy donation from large levy organisations, whether that be local authorities, whether that be the likes of Aldi or Asda or Tesco's, or one of our MATs, our school multi-academy trusts that have got excess levy to share. So so how does this impact nurseries? Most nursery chains, as mentioned, kind of have a levy pot that's underutilized or maybe not utilized to the full effect. Smaller chains need the co-investment, which is why we kind of do the levy gifting option. And these are our key findings from some research that we did. Staff retention. We all know that's a big bugbear at the moment within the industry. So investing in staff's career progression and their pathways and showing them that they can come in right at the start and start at level 2, learn the foundations for what they can build on. So the level 3s, what they can build on, and then they're aspiring managers or leaderships, then they can go on to their level 5. It's about investing and keeping them within the nursery, your nursery chain and your nursery environment. And that's really important because finding good quality, qualified staff is really hard at the moment. We all know that that's a big kind of bugbear, pinch point. Succession planning as well. As mentioned, future room leaders, deputy managers. A big thing is finding the next kind of generation of nursery practitioners, getting the younger people to fall in love with early years and kind of wanting to and kind of feeling that that is a profession that they can kind of move, kind of aspire to, and it's not seen as kind of something you fall into if you maybe didn't do so well at school. Make it more prestigious, make it more kind of aspiring to be a nursery manager, maybe open your own nursery, maybe go further within early years, become an early years teacher, etc. And so forth. Supporting SEND, mainstream and children. Our level 3 SEND includes the SEND element as well, and as we know that SEND is a massive kind of there's a massive need for SEND at the moment, whether that's through school years, but it starts in nursery. So what you guys do is an amazing job, and you're at the forefront, you're at the real start of their journey, on their SEND journey. So having that qualified staff that kind of can support those SEND needs within a nursery is imperative, which is why the AEB kind of complements our kind of existing offering. Apprenticeships as well, recruitment. As I said at the start, it's about growing your own. We'll look later that there's a little bit of data where in 2028 they are predicting that we are going to need 27,500 more professionals in the sector to cope with the extra increase in hours that the government are funding. That is 8% increase on staff. And when I did a little bit of research, we found that as of 2019, 3% decrease in staff. People are leaving the profession for one reason or another. And we need to kind of find a solution to that. And the solution is apprenticeships. The solution is growing your own, taking them from young, or taking them from retraining from a new profession and going into early years, maybe later on in life, and kind of teaching them the ways of your nursery, seeing them flourish through to level 3 to level 5, maybe even on to all the different courses that can complement your nursery offering. So early years pathways. So as mentioned a few times, we do level 2, 3 and 5, and we do very good we do very good teaching and learning here, and our tutors are very, very advanced, and keep their occupational competencies up to date on a regular basis. But I just put this graphic in because I was talking to a few managers before, and it's we all know 2, 3, and 5 is great, but not many are kind of aware that you can do other things. You can sidestep. So maybe your practitioner or your room leader for baby room is a level 3 qualified. They've got the license to practice. They've done the early years training. They're managing a team. They're leading a team, but they don't want to be a manager. They don't want to do the level 5. Then perfect way for them to kind of get that management experience, the leadership experience, is the team leader supervisor qualification, which they can do, which is a level 3 qualification. Then you might spark their delight for learning that can progress them maybe onto operational management level 5 or the lead practitioner, or maybe the other way. So you've got a nursery that you've got a person that's a manager. So, but they might not be they might be an operational side of manager, not hands-on manager. So they might not want to do the level 5 practitioner. They might want to do operation departmental manager, which is about how the internal bits run in the nursery, continuous improvement, project management, maintenance, staff, budgeting, etc. So there are all different pathways that you can kind of go through within early years, not just the generic 2, 3, and 5. And tomorrow, if you book onto the webinar for safeguarding support officer, you'll find how that can fit into that offering as well, and complement your already existing safeguarding kind of policy. So these, I'm not going to go over all this because I will show you a slide at the end of these couple of slides that show you where to find this information out on the courses. But the practitioner, every apprenticeship is broken down into milestones. So an apprentice goes through the milestones, they go through endpoint assessment, they create the portfolio, and then they get assessed at the end. All the different apprenticeships are different lengths of duration. So you have a practical period where you have one-on-one tuition, because we do believe in every learner learns in different ways and different speeds. And we do believe that one-on-one tuition is better than kind of a group tuition, because people are afraid to ask questions and so forth, and people can be more open when it's one-on-one. So we do see apprentices at least every 4 weeks, and that is one-on-one session. And then you've typically got an endpoint assessment period, which is approximately 2 to 3 months, depending on the qualification. And that is the time where we prep their portfolio so they can make sure they know what's in their portfolio, they know what it relates to. So when they are on that endpoint assessment, and we will have done mock assessments, so they know exactly what to expect. Nothing is a surprise. They know exactly what's in their portfolio, what it relates to, what skills, knowledge, and behaviour that particular piece of evidence relates to. So they are fully aware. So when they're on endpoint assessment, it should all go swimmingly. And we would never put anyone through to endpoint assessment until all 3 parties, the line manager, the apprentice, and us, are pretty much confident that they are at that point and are ready for that endpoint assessment. So level 3, early years educator, those milestones, those considerations, and length of stay, and you will get a copy of these slides. So that's why I'm not going to go through them in great detail, because you will have a copy of them, so you'll know how the endpoint assessment works for level 3. You'll know how the endpoint assessment works for level 5, and the milestones, etc. But you can find more about everything on our website. So everything's on our website. We've gone digital. So on here, you can see a course listing, and then when you click through on one of the apprenticeships, it goes through to a page like this, where you can first of all book a discovery call. So if you wanted to book a discovery call with one of our great sales team, it's a consultative approach. So we're not hard sell. We kind of understand and listen to what the needs of your particular setting is, because we know every setting is different. So we work with you to see what your skills, do a skills audit with you, so you know what skills you've got within your organisation, where the skills gaps are, how we could fill those skills gaps, whether that's apprenticeships, whether that's adult education courses or so forth. So we work with you on a consultative basis and give our recommendations of what courses and what programs are best for you in your nursery and the practitioners. So that's where you can book the discovery call with us. You can register your interest if you're an apprentice, a potential apprentice on the call, and you register an interest there, and then you can download a course leaflet, which is a promotional guide, which will go down, break the qualification down into a bit more detail, who it's for, what the kind of job role is, what you're going to be learning, a bit about the endpoint assessment, what qualifications you're going to get at the end. And again, then you can revert back to this to book a discovery call. So that's our website. Again, LMP are different. We don't just offer one off the peg apprenticeship. We can tailor things. We can mold things to suit the learner and the nursery setting. So, and one way of molding that and making it more personable is our value added training. So we've got access to something called Ansphere, and it's a course. It's an online library of about 90 different CPD modules that every apprentice on an early years program has access to. And this is how we can tailor things to suit their particular job role. So you will have things on here like nutrition. You will have things on here on neurodiversity. You'll have things on here like coping with anxiety or depression or kind of a challenging behavior. And all these are online CPD courses that can complement the apprenticeship, also be classed as off the job as well, so we're killing two birds with one stone, and it's added value. So if you have got, so when I mentioned earlier about the skills audit, if you have got those skills gaps, the tutors will work with the apprentice and the line manager and kind of identify, you can say, oh, we've got a skills gap in this. Can we maybe have that apprentice do in this area, or their job is more focused on, anxiety or challenging behaviour, etc. So we can kind of pick and choose the apprenticeship, the added value training to kind of complement where your skills gaps are. Off the job training, it can be seen as a massive barrier. But it's not. Off the job training, we know you work in an environment where time is precious, financial resources are quite challenging. So as long as we kind of work with you to tell you what can and can't be classed as off the job, if it can be related to the apprenticeship standard, and it can be classed as additional learning, we can kind of include that. So things like teaching of theory, as mentioned on the screen, is like lectures, role playing, simulation exercises, online learning. It can be learning off a peer or mentor, so the shadowing, industry visits. It can be learning support, time writing assignments and assessments. So if they do have support needs, because we do a thing called Cognisys, so it is about identifying how your brain processes information, and it can identify areas where apprentices may not even know they had a support need, and then we can put support things in place to make their journey more pleasurable and more easy flowing, and things as easy as like putting a blue screen, white writing that can understand the assignment better, as opposed to white screen, black writing, etc. So we do that as standard with every apprentice. So every apprentice does a Cognisys assessment, and that's things like that can be classed as off the job. So off the job shouldn't really be too much of a barrier, and you will hear from a panelist who will kind of give you a little bit of an insight of how they manage off the job within their nursery settings. So what makes LMP stand out? As mentioned, we have the 90 course online CPD course. This can help fill skills gaps within the nursery. We have the adult education, again, fill skills gaps. It can complement home life as well as nursery life, so the parents can maybe do some courses and kind of complement the work you do in the nursery. We've got, as mentioned before, our trainers are vast occupational experience. They keep their kind of occupational standards up, their knowledge. We work in an ever challenging and ever changing industry where standards are changing all the time and requirements, and they keep that up to date. So they are vastly experienced tutors. Account management, no matter if you're one nursery or you're a trainer of a 50, 60, 70 nursery, we offer the same account management experience, and it's a consultative approach as mentioned before, we work with you, we see what your skills gaps are, we help you do that skills audit, we help you identify the CPD pathways for various members of staff. So, it always doesn't come down to giving them an extra couple of pounds on, in their wage. You can kind of use apprenticeships to kind of give them more back and invest more in their long-term career aspirations. So account management experience, no matter how small or how large you are. Adaptability, as mentioned before, we can adapt the apprenticeships to suit the needs of the nursery setting, and one of the ways is through the Ansphere programme, and other ways are adapting the curriculum as and when required, on like a cohort-based system, kind of based scenario. So if you do have, if you are a larger chain and you have larger cohorts, we can look at adapting the curriculum to suit your ethos, your culture, your kind of needs, etc. And finally, is what we're really proud about is our award-winning recruitment service. The guys on the recruitment team are absolutely phenomenal. They did do a webinar yesterday, so if you did miss that, you can, and I'll share the links afterwards, you can register yourself to look at the video back at a later stage. It's fully complimentary. We advertise, pre-screen, and send you a shortlist. So we take the hassle out of recruitment. We take the hassle out of sifting through all those CVs and matching to the ones that are a good fit for the job spec and not. We do all that complimentary, and our team is really good and experienced. And we send you over a shortlist with like a bio of how this person is, what they want to do, what their career aspirations are, how they would be a good fit for the nursery. So if you do have any recruitment needs, then please do reach out to one of the team and we can kind of help you with that. So enough of LMP. I would like to introduce our two guest speakers. They haven't made it easy for me because it is two Michelles. So we've already had a little bit of banter this morning about kind of how we refer to different Michelles. So first of all, we're going to be introduced to Michelle Gascoyne, who is the area manager from Tynemouth Nursery Group in the northeast. And then we have our delightful Michelle Samuels, who is our apprenticeship manager from Leaf Early Years, Leaf, the London Early Years Foundation in London. So, Michelle from Tynemouth, over to you.
Why didn't I get a delightful Michelle and the other Michelle?
I'm sorry, you're always delightful.
Yeah, how rude. Hi everybody, as Mark says, I'm an area manager up in the northeast. We have 6 set-ins at the moment, about 120 staff. And we are, I think with everybody else, the recruitment crisis hit everybody, and then the government come and brought in all this extra funding, and we've used apprentices for a long time, quite a long time. And we're opening a new nursery next year, and that nursery needs at least 30 staff. So our plan was to get a bunch of apprentices in, to get them trained up for that new setting. And we have we've got 12, well, we had 12, we took 12 apprentices on from LMP, and 9 of them have stayed with us. 3 of them have left for different reasons, which we'll probably go into later on. But I think, we have, the company itself's been going for 25 years, and I've been with the company for coming up to 8 years. And apprentices have always been something that we've had, but it wasn't until, I would say, the last 3 years that I understood the importance of what apprentices can bring and how, if you support them properly, they turn into great little workers. The passion's there, and sometimes I know a lot of you might be frightened to use really young apprentices, but we have, out of the 9 we have now, 4 of them are 16, 17, and they're showing, really, they're showing that they've got the nursery nurse inside of them, if that makes sense. Because I do think you have to have a genuine love to work with children, but and I think it doesn't really matter how young they are, or we do have a couple of mature apprentices as well. But I think it wasn't until we started working with LMP that I realised how easy the process could be. Because before then, we were sort of doing all that running around ourselves, whereas with LMP, they found these people, they brought these people to us, they pre-interviewed them, and we just sort of stepped in right at the end, which was great. But yeah, so that's a little bit about us and me. And I think I'm probably the only one here who's from the Northeast, so sorry about the accent, I'll try my best.
Thank you, Michelle. That's great. And there'll be a Q and answer session after where there'll be a couple of questions, and we'll value your opinions and insights. So thank you. So we're going to move on to the delightful Michelle Samuels from Leith. And yeah, we've worked with Leith for a number of years now, so we're delighted that she accepted an invitation to come back on our webinar after appearing last year. So Michelle, over to you.
Okay, thank you. I mean, it's lovely being called delightful. I'm sorry, Michelle, that I got that and not you, but you are delightful also. So as Marcus said, I'm Michelle Samuels, and I'm currently the Apprenticeships Manager here at London Early Years Foundation. So we are a charitable social enterprise that has 40 nurseries across London and employs obviously over 800 staff. We're looking to grow that even more, so we do aim to reach even further across London. We do try to have a socially inclusive approach with everything we do. So a lot of, because we are a social enterprise, we are not profit driven. We put everything we get back into our nurseries. And I think the apprenticeships really fit in with that, because for us, we do believe in that grow your own here at Leith. And that's been a guiding force for quite a long time. I myself started as an apprentice and worked my way through the nurseries, and now I obviously manage the apprenticeships. There's a number of apprentices that we have had that have worked with Leith and were trained by Let Me Play, that have gone on to be either room managers, deputy managers, or even nursery managers. So the career progression is definitely something that we have there. We do it, for us, it's about understanding that everybody's on their own journey. So for us, our approach with apprentices is that we see them all as unique, and we have external apprentices that come in maybe straight from school, but we also do a lot of apprenticeships where we grow our own. So we have staff that may have joined as an unqualified and actually thought, actually, I do want my qualification and I do want to get those skills. So we also do give our staff the opportunity to upskill themselves by joining the apprenticeship as well. So we do have a mixed model of straight from school, as well as those mature learners that also want to gain their qualification, and we offer a huge support system to be able to give that to them. But I know we are going to discuss how we support later on, so I'll just give you that little insight just there.
Great, and thank you to both delightful Michelles. The passion that you talk about for apprenticeships, is quite clear and quite evident. So thank you for sharing those. So now, just to recap, as mentioned before, this is the 5th webinar of the week. So on Monday, we had a webinar on school leaders, talent development and hiring new talent. On Tuesday, we did teaching assistants. If there's any crossover on the webinar, you can kind of register for the playback on that. Yesterday, we had the power of apprenticeships, which included recruitment element and how to retain staff and how we keep people on program, which was a great webinar. And as mentioned, tomorrow we have the launch in the Safeguard Support Officer Apprenticeship. So if you want to register for that, please click on the link below, and we'll share the link out afterwards. So thank you. I'm just going to leave that screen on there, because that is where you can click to book discovery call. So as mentioned before, if you want one of our experienced consultants to give you a call and arrange a meeting, so we can kind of do a skills audit with you and kind of show you the power of apprenticeships and how kind of that vacancy that you may have in the future, look at the apprenticeship route. and the reasons why that would benefit you, rather than trying to find that fully qualified member of staff that that's really hard to find. So we're just going to do a question and answer session. So we've had quite a few questions through, so I'm just going to pick a couple of them at random. So why do you believe apprenticeships are a valuable route into early years education, and how have you seen them positively impact nurseries and staff development? Michelle from Tynemouth, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure, no problem. I think it is about growing your own. Because if you bring in them in at the level where they know nothing, you can teach them anything that you want them to learn. You'll know yourself if you take on a nursery nurse who's came from a different setting, maybe, or a different company. They come with their own knowledge, their own way that they want to do things. Whereas if you've got, like a brand new person coming into your setting, all they'll ever know is the way that you work and how you want them to work. I think it's important to be really honest from the start with the apprentices. We always do this in interviews. We say, like, probably being an apprentice is one of the hardest jobs you're going to have to do, because you're not only having to work as hard as everybody else in the setting, doing your mandatory training, you also got your apprenticeship units and training on top of that, and obviously your off the job work. And some of them, if they're 17, 18, they're coming out of school and going into a 40-hour contract, a 40-hour job, and so we always try to be very honest with them and say, it's not going to be easy, it is going to be hard, we need to know that you're 100% in for it. And that's what I was touching on before. We have we've always been honest in our interviews. We had 12 initially who we took on, and we've only got 9 now. And in those 3, after about 6 months, came and said, oh, it's a bit hard, isn't it? It's like a long day, isn't it? And then I've got my work to do, and then I've got this to do, and then there's a staff meeting on Thursday, and then I've got my first aid on Saturday. So it is really difficult for them to do. So I would say, once you get somebody who totally understands what they're involved in, those are the ones that are going to stay. But I mean, I think for me, I'm absolutely gutted if we get an apprentice to the stage where they've passed everything, they've done the endpoint assessment and everything's going to never they're a homegrown perfect nursery nurse, and then they go, oh, I might look at something else. Like, that's quite disappointing for us, because we're like, no, we've got this perfect person and we want to keep you. Yeah. And I think a lot of the time, a lot of apprentices always think, previously, that they wouldn't be given a job at the end of it. But as an employer, I think, why wouldn't you want to do that? Why would you spend all that time training this person and then not giving them, like a job at the end of it? And we always put in some sort of incentive. So we sort of say, if you can get like halfway through your course within 6 to 8 months, we'll give you a bonus on your pay, things like that. And it's just all to get them going and keep them interested and things like that. So.
And it's also from the start. I mean, from the very start, it's, if you are taking that new person on from the level 2, or, from the 16-year-old, it's about showing them the career progression, and they can go right up to level 5. They can be that manager. They can go on from there and be an area manager. They can go and go up the organisation. So it's not just starting, low and that, this is all I've got to look forward to. You've got a massive career progressional pathway for them.
Yeah, and you've got to if you've got a group of nurseries, that they can understand that it might just be the nursery that they're in. They can progress elsewhere, and we're a bit like, what Michelle was saying. We have apprentices who've been with us for over 20 years, and they're now running our nurseries. Yeah. And that's really good for the apprentices to hear that. We've got senior nursery nurses who have been apprentices, we've got deputies, we've got lots of different things. I mean, we've got an area Senko, and she was an apprentice. So You know, it's just a case of giving them all of that information. And I think during an interview you see that passion there. So, and it's about just keeping them involved and making sure they've got a buddy, you know, making sure they've got somebody they can go to, ensuring that you know, they definitely get that off the job time, because once they start falling behind, then it just makes things harder for them. So, you know, you've got to keep that up and
engagement,
and make sure they're getting supported right the way along. That's what I would say is the most important thing.
No, that's perfect. That's great. And Michelle from Leaf, I know your kind of philosophies are pretty much the same as the other Michelle, isn't it? But can you add any more to kind of to that?
I do think for us it is, especially coming from being an apprentice myself when I was younger and knowing exactly how I fit in a team and how do I make that work and how do I manage my coursework and manage life and then still go out with my friends at the weekends. It was all very much, this is too much. But I think when you come in and you actually get that passion for early years, it's really about fostering that. And I think a lot of the stuff that we do with our apprenticeships and what we offer our apprentices is really bringing that passion alive and reminding them why they chose to come into this field, and reminding them, yes, it's hard work, but nothing in life isn't hard work. We offer those support functions. We give them, for us at our academy, we do give them one dedicated day up to do training, where we also do counteracted teaching along with Let Me Play to not only support them with their coursework, but consolidate that learning and help them put that into practice, and making sure that they're not alone when they're going through this study. And it's more than just a placement in nursery, that we're part of your journey. And we are going to be there right up until the end when you get that distinction at the end, because that's what we aspire to at the end. And if you don't get a distinction, it's okay. But it's still we always give them that aspiration no matter what level they are. And they are unique, and we want them to take their own journey individually, but know that they've got we're the cheerleaders behind them, basically.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great that you touched upon your academy, and that is another, like what I mentioned earlier, that's how we work with the nursery and the setting itself to kind of adapt and kind of enhance your internal processes and procedures as well. So like we do additional things with you to kind of, complement your apprenticeship academy as well. So thank you for sharing that. And just tying in another question from Catherine, who mentioned level 5 early years lead practitioner role. How does this fit around working as a full-time nursery room leader, and what are the commitment expectations? Well, Catherine, we kind of have touched upon how off the job can be seen as a barrier, but also how we can kind of navigate through that barrier. We do, tutors are fully kind of aware of what can and can't be classed as off the job, and the majority of the time we do find that apprentices are doing at least probably 50 to 60% off the job training without even realizing it. It's about how to educate what can be classed as off the job, what can be put down as off the job, and how we can kind of navigate through that. What I would say is, if you want those merits and distinctions, as you mentioned, Michelle, is, the additional time, if you want to get the top mark, you may have to put additional time in your own time. You may have to do a little bit of extra, self-directed learning and stuff. So yeah, to get those aspirations of those merits and distinctions, which most of us aspire to, there will be kind of an element of that. But yeah, so we kind of work with each individual nursery setting, and some like Leaf and Tynemouth can allocate the time. Some are a bit more time short, and financial constraints. So we kind of work with that setting and educate them what can and can't be classed as off the job and how we can navigate around that. So I hope that kind of answers your question, Catherine. Another one from Teresa. She's asked about assessors, are they local to areas? Yes, we do regional based assessors, so you will be allocating an assessor within your region and area. And what we do is it is a mixture of blended learning, so it can be face-to-face and online. So it's face-to-face when we have to do assessments and things like that. If an apprentice is 18 and under, then we have a duty to see them every 4 weeks face-to-face for safeguarding purposes. But that doesn't stop us coming out and seeing you face to face. If you are older and you wanting that one-on-one interaction face to face, we can look at doing that. But majority of the time in the nurseries find that the online sessions through Teams or Zoom, where we're not disrupting, going into the nursery and taking the person out and kind of occupying a room, they can just go into that room and have that one-on-one tuition, is kind of beneficial for them. They haven't got to go to another setting to do that kind of work and stuff. They can do it within the nursery, and then we can jump on Teams, but then also come out and support face to face as and when required. And as I said, that is negotiable with the tutor. And the main thing we want to do is three things. We want the nurseries to get the trained people that they want. We want to get the apprentices their career aspirations and their qualifications they want, and we want an achiever, and we want to make that journey as pleasurable as possible and as easy as possible for everyone involved. So another couple of quick questions while we have some time. So we have, and you might have already saw the announcement this week, that the relaxation of maths and English for 20-year-olds and over. So the question is, and we are aware that early years is an exception. So early years, they are still requiring a level 2 functional skill for English, but the maths has been relaxed, which is great news, because a lot of like the early like apprentices kind of are fearful for maths, and that maths is like they just get into a panic and is their weaker subject. So that's great for some of those apprentices. But my question is directed firstly to you, Michelle, from Leaf. How do you think the relaxation of that will help? I know, because I know we shared some viewpoints before on your company ethos and strategy, but how do you kind of think the relaxation of that will kind of help find staff and attract talent?
I think it will be a huge help, because obviously not everyone goes through school being the most academic. And obviously, coming from someone who, I was not very good in my maths classes, I will never lie about that. That was never my strong point. So to think that that could have stopped me getting the qualification and getting me where I am today would have really made me sad. And I think I've had learners that they walk in and like, oh my gosh, do I have to do maths? I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And then it's kind of like we've had to coach them through with their functional skills and be there every step of the way. To know that they've got that option to opt out of it will kind of give them a relief. But what I would say is that obviously for us, we only want to give our learners the best aspirations and starts in their career. And obviously some of the changes that have come is that also to go into management level in certain roles, you do require a level 2 functional skills, or to have your grades for your maths to be in management. So we don't ever want to kind of cut them off at the STEM. We want to give them the option and really make sure they've got that information. That if they have aspirations to go higher, get it out the way now. Get it out the way now while you can with your apprenticeship. But 100%. We also appreciate that for some of those maturer staff that maybe they don't want to go any higher. They're just happy to do their level 3 until they come to the end of their career. Then actually this would be the perfect thing for them to take that away, because they might have done O-levels in the past and can't find those certificates. We can't all locate our certificates like some people on the call, Michelle. So it is one of those things that to give them that opportunity really does take a bit of pressure off and helps them focus on the coursework at hand and really keep that passion alive.
Excellent. And Michelle from Tynemouth, you got anything else to add to that? I know your kind of ethos is pretty much the same as Michelle from Leaf, but yeah, it'd be nice to find out kind of any more.
I would, just pretty much the same really. I would just explain that. I mean, I've worked in childcare for over 30 years, and the amount of times it's been changed from you don't need it, you do need it, you don't need it, you do need it. We would obviously, I think it will make a difference. I think there will be more people who would want to do the apprenticeship for that reason. But again, what Michelle said, I would say, if you do want to progress, it is something that you might have to do at a later stage. But again, we've had a couple of apprentices who that's been sort of one of the bugbears they've had. But then when they've actually sat down and done it, and as I say, we give our apprentices mentors who actually go through like mock papers with them and give them some confidence, and you know, and they find that actually it's not as bad as what they think. But yeah, I think if they're happy just to come in and be a nursery nurse, we, you know, we certainly wouldn't push them towards doing that, but we would, you know, we, as Michelle said, we want them to be the best they possibly can be. So we would just you know, tell them that, you know, things may change in the future. You don't know what and you don't know. I think as an apprentice, you don't know until you get into a nursery how much you either, you know, you love it and you want to be there forever, or you don't. I mean, that's the good thing about an apprenticeship, is it's a taster into a childcare career that you may love, but actually you might go, actually this is just not for me, you know. So
exactly, and I suppose if they've done that maths as well, if they are, you know, they might not want to be a nursery manager at this moment in time, but, you know, 3 years down the line, opportunity might come up where they're room leader or deputy, and then they step into the management, and then it's a case of, we've already done the maths, so we haven't got another barrier, have we? It's already done, it's already boxed off. So yeah, so no, that's great kind of insight from both of you, and kind of following your kind of strategies and things. So thank you for that. Next question, we've kind of touched upon it a little bit, but what advice would you both give nursery managers who consider apprenticeships but have concerns about the time, the cost, or the administrative workload involved? Could you kind of share maybe some involvement that you have, and kind of give us a few examples? Michelle from Leaf, can we start with you?
So obviously we do have cohorts of apprentices. So for us, it will be maybe very different to Michelle from Tynemouth. We do a lot of support work with our managers. We also have apprentice coaches within every setting to support our learners in the setting. So what the advice I would give them, probably from our side of it, would be, you need to give them a buddy. There has to be someone there that will guide them and kind of put their focus into their everyday work is their coursework. If they actually hone in on it, they can make it very easy for themselves. Because actually, every time you do that circle time, if you're documenting, or if you have a notebook and you're making tracks of it, when you're then doing your reflective writing for your coursework, you already have it there. You already know what you did. It's not a matter of, I'm remembering it. It's just a matter of linking the theorists that may go with it, or something that goes with it, to make it meet the criteria for your work. So I think giving them that support and helping them see that what they're doing in the nursery is their coursework. It's just a matter of how they document that and how they retain that. It should make it easier. And I think from a financial standpoint, you did mention earlier in your slide about the levy, and that actually, if you don't have your own levy, there are other ways that you can do it with co-investment. There is lots of other companies that offer and share their levy as well. It's just about finding many different avenues in which you can support your new apprentices or build up your staff team in that way. It shouldn't really be a barrier. It's a challenge, but it's not a mountain. It's just a little hill. It's a speed bump. It's all right. You can get over it.
Exactly, and look at the benefits of going over that speed bump. You know, the benefits outweigh any negative that anyone has with that at all. So, so yeah, no, that's great. Michelle from Tynemouth, what are your views?
I mean, we always try to plan ahead with our apprentices, so we try to give them at least an afternoon off the floor per week. And what we would do, we would rota that into the rota, so that they knew on a Wednesday afternoon, you know, they need to bring their textbooks in or wherever, and they could do some coursework. But I think the best thing to do is make sure that the apprentice knows exactly what's classed as like off the job hours, you know, because even if they're coming in to have like a conversation with you with supervision, or, you know, a weekly catch up or wherever, it's all the same thing. It's all off the job, because I think they have to fill out a timesheet of what they've done. I think they start to panic if they haven't got that, if they haven't brought all of the hours and they fall a little bit behind. It's true, you know, when we know what it's like in a nursery, you just need somebody to be sick, or, you know, a bug to hit or wherever, and sometimes It may be that, you know, you've sort of offered this off the job work, and it hasn't been able to happen that day. But it's about being consistent and saying, you know, obviously we'll make sure you get that tomorrow if we can't give you it today. And even if it means one of the managers or the deputies or whatever jumping on the floor to give them that time off, because you don't want to, if they're up for it and they know they're doing it, you don't want to then put them off.
100%.
But yeah, I think it's I mean, we have, you know, they all have buddies that have a group where they can share questions in and ask for support, and you know, and what I say to a lot of them is, if you just look at the policies and procedures, you get a lot of answers to your questions and things like that, you know. But and we try to sit with them to break down their units so that they're not overwhelmed by, you know, if they've got 17 units, and, you know, not to overwhelm them, we'll just break it down for them into like a more manageable, you know, course. Because we do, I don't know if everybody's the same, but we see a lot of young people now between 16 and 25, and a lot of them have got anxiety, you know, or they're neurodiverse, so they've got something. So, you know, it's about just making it not so overwhelming, because as I said before, it is quite a lot, you know, to go from school into a full-time job with additional training. So,
and especially in a high fast-paced industry like early years, where you've got to have eyes everywhere, and you know, it's full on, isn't it? And then to kind of then switch off and
the
do
responsibility, you know, the responsibility of looking after not just one little person. You know, like, you know, with the babies, it's 3 little people, you know, and that's a huge responsibility too. So, you know, most of them come in and they just go with the flow, and they're great. But some of them just need that little extra support. So I would say just make sure they're getting that time so that they're not falling behind.
No, that's great, and you should touch on neurodiverse with the apprentices. You know, part of our enrollment process is where we ask and we encourage them to be honest and open, whether things are diagnosed or undiagnosed, or whether things they think they have certain conditions. That's why we introduce Cognisys, so we can kind of do that assessment with them. And you know, we have a fully supportive learner management team who kind of their day-to-day job is to kind of help and nurture and kind of get those apprentices through to endpoint. So we offer full support. So yeah. Exactly. So it's kind of mirrors what you said.
If they've come into work that day and am I still getting my afternoon out, and you go, oh, such and such is rang in sick, you know. It's about just saying, don't worry, we'll get you there. Don't worry, we'll find it. You know. Definitely. So definitely.
Cool. So I've got a few more questions. One person has asked, a couple of people have asked about apprenticeships when they start. Is it just one point in a year? No. So for you know, certain clients, we do cohort-based driven sessions where we can mold the apprenticeship to suit the needs of that nursery setting and that group. So that's why we do those intakes in strategic times in the year. But majority of the time, you know, it is a roll on, roll off. So we can enroll people at any month or at any moment in time. And what I would say is, you know, spreading them out is kind of great. So, you know, as soon as you know that you've got a person that wants to do their level 3, get them started straight away, because then a couple of months down the line, you have another person that maybe sees how, you know, it's benefiting that person and kind of changing the way they kind of, you know, their kind of policy, and so the way they engage with the children, etc. And then you can kind of get, you know, people jumping on the bandwagon because they can see how successful it is for them. So what I would say is, you know, get them started as soon as possible. We can facilitate most months, every month, sign-ups for early years. You know, we'll try and get the try and get them with the same tutor, so that the nursery manager, you know, has only got one tutor to kind of engage with, and kind of they kind of learn the ways of the nursery and how they work, and you know, how to, you know, book them in sessions, etc., coming out and seeing and booking days in, etc. So So yeah, so that in answer to your question, they are kind of roll on, roll off. Right, so one last question before we because we are running out of time. I work in a room leader in a nursery school. The rest of my team are unqualified, so I don't have a team rota to allow me to get coursework done. How many hours per week would you estimate is required outside of my job? I want to be realistic with my expectations. Okay, so I would say if you can at least dedicate 6 hours of your time per week at home to do, if you don't get it in the nursery time, to do you off the job, do your self-directed learning, do your coursework, etc. I think that would be adequate time. Obviously, if you want to get the distinctions and merits, etc., then you might have to put additional time in for self-directed learning and self-study, etc. But I would say 6 hours a week comfortably, you could kind of get through the apprenticeship and, you know, get through to endpoint assessment and get a pass. So I hope that answers your question. We have run out of time. There are a lot of other questions. So, you know, we have covered a lot of the questions. A lot of it is about off the job. A lot of it's about kind of, you know, we can see how they start, you know, career aspirations and how they start as level 2 and go through right to management. So we can see how the progression pathways are. And we have covered the last thing that I wanted to mention, which is, you know, I mentioned earlier, 28,000 new practitioners are needed by 2028. How on earth are we going to do that? Well, how we can do that is start now and get those level 2s in, progress them to level 3s. By the time they've done the level 2 and the level 3, that'll be, you know, 36 months. That'll be 2028. So grow your own now. 2025 is not too late to get nursery, you know, the staff in now, and then grow your own. So when we are at that stage, when we do need those extra 28,000 practitioners across the industry, that you've got yours sorted. And to help that, we can help you with the recruitment. We can help you with, as Michelle mentioned earlier, and we help Leaf out as well. We can do those sessions. We can get those staff in. We can pre-screen and pre-interview, and we can send over shortlist. And all you have to do is interview, and you know to hire whoever meets your culture, ethos, criteria, etc. So just want to say thank you so much for the two Michelles. I'm so glad I didn't get you both mixed up. So I'm glad we got over that barrier. And yeah, thank you very much, and hope to see both the two delightful Michelles next year on our next webinar in 2026.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.